Hello, Market Watcher. I'm David Ravel, and this is Value Side for Thursday, March 4. First, an employment recession like no other. Then positive results for the big supermarket chain Kroger's. All that, and our preview of the rest of today's corporate results, along with the latest news on the economy, coming right up. Well, this morning, as happens each week, the Department of Labor once again delivered the latest numbers on initial claims for unemployment. This is the sad tally of the number of people who lined up at their local state employment office and declared that they were out of work. In most cases, laid off from an employer who simply doesn't have enough business to pay their salary. And unfortunately, many of these businesses will themselves follow a similar path as they will file for bankruptcy, the business equivalent of being out of work. Now, economists use these initial claims for unemployment as a leading indicator of where the economy is headed. And when viewed that way, it's not a pretty picture. For the first time in our nation's history, we had more than 1 million initial claims for unemployment filed on that fateful week of April 4th of last year. In fact, we had more than 2 million filed. No, more than 3 million. Well, as it turned out, we had 6.9 million new claims for unemployment. That far eclipsed the prior record of just 653,000, set the first week of April of 2009 during the time of the great financial crisis. So we saw 10 times the number of initial claims filed last year than had ever been filed before. What's more disturbing, we have yet to come down to that all-time record to this day. Today's reports for initial claims for unemployment for last week was 745,000. That's over 90,000 greater than the worst week ever during the great financial crisis of 08 and 09. And even worse than that, it doesn't appear that these numbers are getting much better. Looking at a chart for initial claims, we can see that there was a dramatic improvement from April to November of last year. In November, we recorded the low point of new claims during the pandemic at just 719,000. But remember, that's 26,000 below where we are today. So there has been some progress in restoring jobs up until November of last year, and then we seem to have hit a brick wall. After that, nothing. In fact, things may indeed be much worse than they seem for the average working person. There is yet another category of support for those who have exhausted their unemployment benefits, and that is called the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. And over there, another 436,000 filed for this program last week for the first time, putting the total new filings for the two categories of unemployment benefits at well over 1.1 million, and that was just for last week. Add all of this together, and you can see why there are 10 million fewer jobs in this economy now than there were just a year ago. And the effects of all this will be profound. With job loss comes a reduction in all types of discretionary spending. People go into survival mode, and all extras are cut. And this in turn will mean that more businesses will cut back on their offerings, and a vicious cycle begins. Fewer jobs means less aggregate spending, means fewer jobs, and so on. So don't be fooled when you hear that initial claims today were better than Wall Street expected. While that might be true, it is also true that this is by far the worst employment recession that anyone alive has ever seen. Now, in other economic news today, Challenger did report fewer jobs cuts at just 34,000, and that's certainly very good news. Hopefully, that will be a harbinger of better things to come. Now, in earnings today, very good news for Burlington Store. The stock was up 10% on those results. Also reporting positive results were Kroger's, the big supermarket chain, and tech company Ciena. On the other hand, Schrödinger, a medical technology company, saw its stock drop over 1/4 in value on less than stellar results. And that's our look at Wall Street for Thursday, March 4. I'm David Revell. Please join me in praying that our country may get back to work.